Today's podcast is brought to you by Montes Pickleball and Flickweight. Be sure to check them out and use discount code DDOG_pickleball at checkout to help support the channel and the podcast. All right. Hello, everybody. Today I have with me, actually, you know what? I'll let you do the intro. Go ahead.
Hi, everybody. I'm Heidi Block from Playly, coming to you from New Jersey. Playly is a company that makes men's and women's pickleball apparel and accessories developed specifically for the sport. Thanks for having me.
Of course, happy to have you. And you were just in Massachusetts recently too, right?
I actually ended up canceling the trip and I'm going to reschedule it. I'm trying to get into some of the local clubs, but I had a little bit of a family emergency that came up. So I'm going to reschedule. I was going to go to Route 12 Pickleball and a couple of other clubs to do some pop ups and introduce the brand up there.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm very sorry to hear about the family emergency. But yeah,
All right.
that's a fun one, Route 12. I've been there a couple times.
Oh, good.
Yeah, it's a cool club. And so it's an interesting location because it's like right what is it? Like it's not far from Worcester, but
It's
there's
Worcester,
not
yeah.
like
Boylston, maybe? West
yeah,
Boylston?
it's like West
Yeah.
Boylston, I think, something like that. But yeah.
Hmm. Yeah.
So it's a cool spot. But yeah, so that's
Yeah.
fun. So you now have actually, what do you call them when you integrate with a club? You call them storefronts or
Well, there's two ways that I work with a club. One is that I sell my apparel there if they have a pro shop, where
okay.
I sell it to them wholesale and then they retail it to the customers and members. The other way, which I was going to do for this trip, was just to do like a trunk show slash pop-up shop where I'm
Okay.
just there for a few hours on a particular day to introduce the brand. And hopefully, if it goes well, it leads to a wholesale relationship if they have room. But a lot of the pickleball clubs haven't thought to build in pro shops and space for that. So that's always a challenge.
Yeah. And that's a lot of them are also old warehouses. So former
Well, that's okay.
warehouses. So
Yeah.
yeah, but it's when they try to maximize the reason I'm saying that when they try to maximize the amount of courts, it leaves very little social pro shop and all that area is what I was
Yeah.
referring to there. But
True.
yeah, so that's exciting.
It depends sometimes on whether the owners have any background in retail,
Yeah.
because a lot of them just don't even think of it.
Yeah, I that tells me a lot of the owners are very pickleball playing minded.
Yeah, yeah, you get a lot of like former senior business people who kind of like retired and this is a second career. They love pickleball, so they decide to get some friends together as business partners and fit out a place.
So the reason I had Heidi on for you guys was because Playly, I think it's Playly, right?
Right, clearly.
Okay, want to make sure I was saying that right. I think it's super interesting. So why don't you tell us first a little bit about yourself, how you got into pickleball, that, and then tell us about Playly.
Sure. Yeah. So my background is actually in marketing and innovation in consumer packaged goods. No experience in apparel or in sports, but lifelong tennis player. And when I started playing pickleball in the summer of COVID, like a lot of other people, I was wearing my tennis clothes to play pickleball, but I felt like they weren't really ideal, mostly for women's clothes. The issue is the lack of pockets because tennis courts, you put your tennis ball in the spandex short underneath the skirt. But that doesn't really work for a pickleball. It's a little too hard and scratchy, a little too big. It bulges out and gets in your way. Um, and I thought, this is kind of annoying. And after I learned to play, I went home and I Googled more about the sport, try to get a little bit more clarity on the rules and what I needed to buy. And I couldn't find anything to buy, and I couldn't find any good content. I ended up on Amazon buying some weird paddle whose brand name I couldn't pronounce that was shipped from China. And it turned out to be too heavy, and the balls were indoor balls, and I was playing outdoors. And I was like, oh my God, I can't believe nobody is doing like a great pickleball brand. Like there's so many people already loving the sport, and it's only grown since then. And I'm like, I'm going to do it. So I decided to launch the business and develop apparel that was specific for the sport that met the needs of the players for men and women, and launched it originally online as a direct to consumer website. And then that was, I guess, 3 years ago now that I launched the website. And just about a year ago, I started doing the wholesale side as well. So it's going really well. I've added a lot of new styles and colors twice a year, and I've gotten really terrific feedback from the players.
It's awesome. Yeah, I was about to say I've heard that the first part of that story, you are not alone there. I've heard that story and lived that story myself as well. So very
Yeah,
similar and often heard story about people that kind of got in, I'd say kind of before or even during the pandemic rush is what we'll
yeah,
call
that
it.
was a
So
huge uptick in play. Yeah.
yeah. So but yeah, so all right. So tell us a little bit about Playly.
Yep. So Playly is designed to be everything you need to play pickleball. So it's equipment, apparel, and accessories. And what's really unique about it is that the items were developed specifically for pickleball. There are a lot of other companies who have seen the opportunity to sell apparel and accessories for pickleball, but they're really not doing anything to make them specific to pickleball. So that's really where our point of difference is. That in our sort of aesthetic, we've got like really cool visual identity. But the things that make it specific to pickleball are number one, the pockets. So, like I said, I couldn't store pickleball in my spandex short underneath my tennis skirt. So, all of our skirts and shorts feature a pocket that's set back behind the hip to store the ball safely out of the way while you play. So, even for you, Dawson, if you wear like regular athletic shorts and you try to put a ball in your front pocket, it's going to bulge out and you're going to probably hit it with your paddle. So these pockets sit a little behind the hip to keep the ball out of the way. The second difference is in the fit. So a lot of the tennis brands, and this is maybe more true for women's than for men's apparel, are currently going like super short cropped, like that's what's in style with the 20 somethings. But a lot of pickleball players are in their 40s, 50s, and 60s and not so comfortable like bearing a midriff on the court. And so our fits are a little bit more generous so that things are not like skin tight and there's no crops available. And then the third difference is just in the aesthetic in terms of some of the prints and trends. You see things like here, these are little pickleball paddle print, and then little paddle shaped zipper pole here. So it's like a nod to the sport, cute little pickleball related things, but it's not like an in your face kind of pickleball um, vibe. So it's not like a giant dill pickle that says I'm the big dill, which is the only thing I could find when I first started looking.
Yeah, and I do have one, and I have worn it before on the channel, and
You
it's like a
too?
pickleballer, and it's a
Uh-huh.
massive like dill pickle holding a paddle. I think it's by Fila,
Mm-hmm.
something like
Mm-hmm.
that, and it's like very like in your face, like would probably not wear in public outside of a pickleball type of scenario. Like,
Yeah.
so yeah, I actually definitely appreciate that as someone, that like listen, I love pickleball and all that, but I'm not looking to market it to the world 24/7 in that regard. And sometimes just something professional, with a little paddle zipper like that, like you showed on the kind of the collar there. I think that's super interesting. I think it's smart, and like on the age piece. I've definitely heard that complaint before. I do actually play with a good amount of the local kind of more senior group, I'd say, into like the senior pro ranks
Mm-hmm.
in this area a good amount. And that
Probably
was
don't see a lot of
one of the
crop tops now.
no, I don't think I've ever seen a crop top, is my point.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's like that was the same thing. They'd not be in it's just athletic clothing. They wouldn't really even try or something like that because it's like it's the same issue. It's tough to
Yeah.
get the right fit in that regard.
There there aren't a lot of companies really doing pickleball apparel, even generic pickleball apparel. So a lot of people don't even realize that there is apparel specifically for pickleball. So when they find out, they're like super excited because people have a lot of passion for the sport. And like if you walked into a sporting goods store to buy clothes to play pickleball in, and there was like a rack of general sportswear, a rack of tennis wear, and a rack of pickleball wear, of course you would buy the pickleball wear, but you have to know it exists. So I'm trying to like educate people that there is something specific for pickleball and they can look great and feel great on the court. We also have really nice high-end fabrics and super comfortable. So people wear it on the court and then they're comfortable wearing it around too because there's no giant dill pickles.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about, when you do integrate. So when you do integrate with the club, what is that,
Hmm.
listen, I've been in lots of clubs. I've seen
Hmm.
all sorts of different layouts. I've seen what I would say works well in terms of like a pro shop and seen, clothing on court, literally like on the side of the fence, and that's the pro shop. And so
Yeah.
when you integrate with the club, I'll put it as a two-parter here. I'd say first, what are you looking for in the club in particular? And then
Hmm.
secondly, you know, without going in depth on what that business deal looks like, what is it you're really looking for, in terms of a deal with that club is what I'd be curious
Yeah.
about.
Yeah. So, I mean, ideally, I'm looking for a club that has allocated some space for a pro shop more than like the side of the fence
Yeah.
or behind the front desk. What I find is a lot of clubs, if they did anything, they just sort of like ordered some swag with like the club logo on it. And maybe have like a few t-shirts, maybe a sweatshirt that has the club logo on it. And they're like, oh, why is that not selling? Well, because people don't want to be advertising your club logo all over town. They want something that's like nice and comfortable and works well on the court. I mean, a cotton t-shirt's not the best thing to play pickleball in. So I'm looking for a club that appreciates the difference, that understands the value of the retail opportunity towards the company's, the club's revenue, right? You can only make so much selling court time, but it's icing if you can have a pro shop and have that additional revenue. So ideally, I'm looking for a club that has the space for it, appreciates it, but also has the right clientele to be able to buy nice pickleball apparel because not every club is located in an area with a demographic that people are going to spend money on pickleball apparel and accessories. And it's a big challenge trying to find the right clubs because so many of the pickleball clubs are privately owned. So it's almost like one at a time getting in touch and finding out like do they have a pro shop, are they interested in bringing in some apparel, and then going through like what would sell well in their market. And like I said before, sometimes doing a trunk show or a pop-up to test it out first and see if people like it before they commit.
Yeah, I would be really curious to see what the pop-up is like. I'm assuming you do like a 2, 3 day weekend normally with that, right?
No, actually most of the pop-ups are single day,
Oh, wow.
unless it's like a tournament or a multi-day event. It's usually just a single day.
What do you
I have
find
one
works
tomorrow.
better? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, that's right, I have one tomorrow. I'm on Long Beach Island this weekend in New Jersey. And there's actually a fundraiser. A lot of nonprofits are doing pickleball fundraiser events to try to raise money for their foundation. So this is a Parkinson's Foundation fundraiser, and I'm popping up during the event, which is like 4 hours, and I'll donate a percent of the proceeds back to the foundation, which is great. When I do it at the clubs, I usually ask the club owner, like, what is kind of your busiest play time? A lot of times they want me to come during a tournament, but I often don't find that I do best during tournaments because people are very focused on the competition. They're worried about like where are they playing next and who are they going to be playing against, and they got to get warmed up, and they're not really interested in shopping. So the only kind of tournaments where I really do well are the ones where there's a lot of spectators or partners who came to cheer on their player, or where there's like a lot of organic traffic walking by, like in a big public park. But I sell mostly to recreational players, so I'm not as focused on like those pros, which is why a social event or just a regular open play day is great. If the club says Friday's our big day, we've got people from 8 a.m. when the court's open to 6 p.m. when we close. I'll come in for the whole day.
Yeah,
Just do
I
like a little
I
table and
was
racks
thinking
and
of it,
sell stuff.
and I was like, yeah, if there was a way to magically appeared already set up for like the semifinals on of a tournament. That would be like the most ideal timing because you're getting all the spectators there.
Spectators.
And then
Yeah.
you're getting, whatever, you're getting like each level of player that would be interested in that line. It almost makes me think of too the old USA Pickleball when they did like the age specific brackets. They
Hmm.
still might do those now. I haven't seen
Yeah.
as
I
many
think
of
they do
those
still some
tournaments.
places. Yeah.
Yeah, they're not as common these days, but they used to do like they used to have a set like 6 to 10 dates a year. Like you could bet on what of the two locations it would be, and they would just
Yep.
rotate each year.
Yep.
But yeah, no, and it's funny you said Long Beach Island because I actually just went there for the first time ever. Not for pickleball, sadly, but for
You didn't play while
vacation
you were here? You
regardless.
got so many courts.
I know, I wanted to.
You missed out.
Trust me, I
Yeah.
did. It was a vacation with the missus, and it was strictly time away from pickleball.
Mm. She doesn't
But
play, huh?
she does very recreationally. She's not
Uh,
like us where we're invested beyond just recreational play.
yeah.
But she wanted a little time off, and so I was like, all right, I'll suffice. But I did drive by lots of courts going to and from, and I was like, wow, for a beach town, this is awesome. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. No,
so
it's one of the reasons I got into it is because it's so big here. I have a house here and I'd seen it for a number of years before I started playing.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was about to say, I would say that, you know, kind of what you said is definitely the experience I've seen and heard for some vendors that have done some of these kind of events. But yeah, you should definitely let me know when you plan on coming back to Massachusetts. We'll definitely have to catch up.
Yeah. I'm
So
looking at trying to come back in October if I can schedule like a few things because it's a decent drive for me. So I want to make sure it's worth the trip.
yeah, that's like 6 hours, right? If you're coming from
All the way to
Long Beach.
Boston is 6. Well, no, I don't live full time on Long Beach
Okay.
Island. I live in northern New Jersey, so 4 or 5, depending where I'm going. Boston, north of Boston, maybe 6.
Are you sick of burning through your pickleball shoes too fast? It's time to get you more hours on the court. Meet Montes pickleball shoes, designed exclusively for the lateral movements of pickleball. Engineered with heel reinforcement, a crash-resistant toe cap, extra lateral support inside and out, breathable mesh, and a high-density outsole that strikes the perfect balance between agility and durability. Montes gives you more hours on the court per dollar spent than any pickleball shoe on the market. Give your feet the shoes they deserve. Check out the full lineup now at montespickleball.com. All right. So now that we had our wonderful chat with Heidi, let's get into some paddles here. So it's been a little while since I've done the pod. Gonna be doing it solo today for this portion. Vinny is at a PPA in California currently. Pat is off doing whatever Pat's doing currently. Um, Definitely connect with him again after this. But yeah, I just personally wanted to get this out there. Got some really exciting stuff coming up on the paddles front. So first and foremost, mains. I'm currently maining the Enhance Gen 4.5. I got a tournament coming up next week. Plan on playing it with this. I've been playing with this for a little over a month now. Just finished up my review on it recently. And even post review, I've found I have been changing my setup on this a lot, which is probably a combination of a couple things. But yeah, so first off, shout out Coach Ari over at Kingsbury for the lovely orange you drip and drip. Definitely check her out if you guys are going to KCM. Um, yeah. So got a funny story behind that one for another time. But yeah, so I currently, as it stands, I got the 7 tungsten flick weight on the bottom. I got 3 gram tungsten 3-inch strips on the bottom and hands here. And then I got 4 inches of 0.5 tuning tape by Pickball Effect. So it is an interesting setup. honestly, if I went the tuning tape down here, I probably would have gone up to here to like there. Just because when I had a bunch of handle weight in my final setup in the review, it felt great, but the dead spot up here was insane. It was insane. I felt amazing when you hit the ball right here, but it was insane up there. And I found I was hitting it up there a lot for kind of a really, really tough day session I had. And then an even tougher, or equally as tough drilling session right after that. And I was like, all right, I got to make a switch, and it really relieved up. It did actually add more swing weight, believe it or not, to add this little bit of tungsten up here than it did to take off, almost 10 inches of tungsten between in the handle and in the throat here, which is funny, but how swing weight works. And it really just added more to kind of the paddle's overall playability doing all four corners for me personally. So that's where I'm at currently. The enhance, I'll leave it there for you guys for a moment. I don't really have a great paddle stand, unfortunately, for the pod yet, but yeah. So moving it along now, I did recently just play test some of these and have been kind of doing early kind of thoughts on them. I'll do a little bit more of a first impression here. The Carbon True Foam Waves. So I have the 4X in my hand right now. This is hands down been my favorite of the four shapes. Um, I'd say I put the most time on the 4X, followed by the 1X. As you can see, they're all pretty much the identical shapes to the True Foam Genesis. I believe one of them had a little bit of a change in the handle, and that was it. But yeah, also cosmetics. This is awesome. Like A plus on cosmetics here. This is awesome, ideal pickleball cosmetics. There's not a bazillion, logos and names, stuff like that. It's subtle. It's enough. I like the True Foam in the blue like this with the waves, so you can tell it's the waves. They got the waves right here and here as well. Big fan of that. So let's talk a little bit about this. I do want to show the other ones on screen real quick first, though. So we got right here, we got the two. Yeah. Then we've got the three. For those of you listening to the pod, you'll just get a nice ASMR of me showing the paddles currently. And here we have the one. So the one is the elongated shape. The three is the elongated shape, which I call like the OG or traditional elongated shape. So it's got the shorter handle and the longer face rather than being an elongated in both handle and face somewhat, but skinnier. They lets the cheeks be a little wider, as they say. I actually do like that shape a good amount, but it just depends on, company and paddle shape for me personally in that regard. Then we have the Carbon 2, which is their standard 16 by 8 shape. And I don't know. My one thing with gripe with this shape is the handle size. It's just like my one hand takes up almost the whole handle. It's very crammed compared to this, where it's less cramped. But it's not some gargantuan handle. Outside of that, I loved the two in the Truecomb Genesis. I mained it for probably 5 months, almost something like that. And the only reason I stopped was because mine was starting to get dead spots and feel really dead and not as spinny as it was new, or even kind of slightly new. So I will definitely have to put some time on the two. Right now, I don't have any time on the two. I have time on the other three shapes, though. So that's what I will focus my chat on for now. So I want to start with the four. So I ended up doing weight in all four corners. And I'm going to be honest, I did not do a ton of time stock on these because I did not like how they played stock whatsoever. These definitely need weight, but they don't come light, is how I'll put it. They don't come super heavy, but they don't come light. They come kind of at normal paddle ranges. Mine came in at a swing weight of about 113 to 114 for my hybrid. I added this weight, it's about 4-ish inches on the bottom corners, 3-ish inches on the top. Brought it to about like a 116-ish swing weight. It's in a good spot for me for a hybrid. I like it. Um, The 1X, I really have not found the setup I like yet. I tried a ton of handle weight first and throat weight into the handle, excuse me. And now I'm doing all four corners again. And I do like this more, but I do still think this needs even more tinkering. I also just, for some reason, carbon's elongated shape. Not my go-to personally, but I do like it. I do like it, to be clear. Now, let's talk about the 3X. So the 3X, I did really enjoy stock. I haven't added weight to it yet. It's the only one of the bunch stock that I enjoyed, but it definitely has a hollow feeling stock. So I think that some kind of like weight in the middle here, like right where that true foam is, would shore this up nicely. So I think that's what I'll do to the 3 at some point. And then the 2, like I said, I haven't hit it yet. But yeah, so the 4, the only other thing I would ponder doing more to the 4 right now is maybe a bar up top here, and then maybe pulling this into the throat more. But yeah, so these do have some traits that are similar to the Genesis and some traits that are different to the Genesis. But for now, I'm going to leave it at that, and I will give an in-depth review. Again, these are very, very, very first impressions. Like I said, I haven't even hit the 2X yet. I only hit 3 of the 4. So, yeah, take that how you will. We'll definitely have more info for them as we lead up to the 9/25 launch date. Really excited about them though, and do think you guys will definitely like these. But yeah, moving it along now, I do want to go back to a little bit about kind of what I've been up to. So I've just been testing paddles and training really, really on the grind, trying to get ready. I got a couple fall tournaments coming up. I'm really excited. Playing them all with Justin. Either men's 4045 or men's 45 plus is how our signups are. It really just depended tournament to tournament on how they set up the tournament, how the signups were filling, stuff like that. You know, a lot of the times the tournaments they'll move people around to stuff like that. So we kind of just went with the flow with that rather than, stressing and worrying about, do we need to be 4045? Do we need to be 45 plus? It didn't really matter to us. Our dupers are on the lower side for our levels at personally, in our opinions, and off of our recent results and, results together thus far as a team. I'd say we are definitely more on the 4-0 side of 4-0 to 4-5 than the 4-0 side. But I'm sorry, more on the 4-5 side of 4-0 to 4-5. But hey, you never know. Look, on a bad day, I may very well be a 4-0 for all I know. So, I do think that that is the right fit for us right now, being in that 4-0 to 4-5 category. And we go, have good results, keep doing it, and we'll see where we are in a few months and go from there. So, but yeah, so I did play the 11-0 Summer Classic. Unfortunately, it was a non-duper tournament, so it didn't go into my duper, but I did know that going in at least, which is something I do want to talk about. Guys, if you're running a tournament, you need to specify whether or not duper is being added well before tournament day. Okay. We shouldn't be finding out on tournament day or after tournament day if we're going into duper or not into duper. We should know either in the little marketing image pamphlet that you do for pickleball tournaments or pickleball den or whatever platform you're on, or you should put it in the emails leading up to it for the e-blast that everyone gets that's signed up. Okay. I just don't really find it cool to go to a tournament and not know per se. Listen, I'll happily play a non-duper tournament. I'll happily play a duper tournament. It's not that big a deal to me. I don't live and die with my duper personally. I live and die with how I play, how I show up, if I had fun, if I performed, if I gave, you know, my best effort forward, which I do always give when on the court. I'm someone that gives 110% effort each time, but also was able to really gather out of that, and I understand that not every day is going to be, a first place gold medal. And there are going to be some tough days, but there are also going to be some good days. So I think that, kind of weighing in those factors and those moralities, I will say, yes, that is one hill I'm willing to live or die on. Tournament directors, please specify whether or not it's going into duper well before the tournament starts. All right. outside of that, yeah. I mean, look, again, and this is not 211 specifically. They did a wonderful job of putting that in there well in advance. And I think it was smart they did non-duper because this was kind of during that initial duper algorithm shift where people were going 7-0 in tournaments and the dupers were going down, which is still doesn't sit the greatest with me personally, but I commend Duper for trying to implement their new algorithm and trying to figure it out. I just think that they need more time and they might need to retool it again, personally. But, again, I really do commend Duper for trying. I know that is not an easy gig, and I'm not here to rag on them by any means. But yeah, so moving into that, yeah, so it's Justin and I's. I think this is our third official tournament together. Um, I'm trying to think. I don't know. I think we did one like super, super like she, not even on tournaments type of event too. Like well in the summer. But yeah. So we've got a nice fall lined up though. I think we're gonna get a good 2 to 3 tournaments in this fall and really see how we stack against, the high end 4.0 to 4.5 to 4.5 plus crew and see where we fall along those lines as a team. But yeah, so I'm very excited for that. And then in regards to kind of just the channel and the podcast, stuff like that, it's going to keep going. At what frequency, we're still trying to figure out just because, like I said, Vinny's been traveling. I've been busy with my own work and stuff like that. And then Pat's just been busy as well with a variety of his own things. So we're going to figure that out and we'll get back to you guys with episodes when we have them. So, but other than that, yeah, this is the Not Another Pickleball podcast. And this is your host, Dawson, signing off.